Overall, in terms of the various campaigns that I mentioned tonight and many others, it's true that taking risks has involved a personal price, a very considerable personal price in many cases. For me, it has been at times like living through a low-level civil war. I've had over 50 attacks upon my home, including bricks through the windows, 3 arson attacks, and a bullet through the front door. I've been violently assaulted, physically assaulted, with fists, bottles, bricks, and stones over 300 times. Nearly all the teeth in my mouth are chipped and cracked and have been reconstructed as a result of these assaults. The brain and eye injuries from the assaults by Mugabe's bodyguards in Brussels in 2001 and by Moscow neo-Nazis in 2007 has been exacerbated by these other attacks. I've been arrested close to 200 times, but only have one standing conviction. Only one. That was for Canterbury Cathedral in 1998. And the charge was indecent behaviour in a church contrary to the 1860 Ecclesiastical Courts Jurisdiction Act, formerly part of the Brawling Act of 1551. It's a nice badge of pride to wear with considerable honour. Yeah, I've had hate mail and death threats. I get it all the time. When I hear some people complaining about what they get on Twitter, I think to myself, I'm really sorry for you, I know what it's like, but I've had this for over 30 years. You know, in the 1990s, I was on an assassination list drawn up by Combat 18, a neo-Nazi offshoot of the National Front and the BNP. You know, I was targeted to be killed, and fortunately the police managed to intercept the plot when they already had weapons, bomb-making equipment, and semi-automatic weapons. So I can know and understand what human rights defenders in many other countries go through. But again, I'd say, bad though it is, I haven't suffered what a lot of them have suffered. When I was beaten up badly in Moscow in 2007 by neo-Nazis, I got a bit of brain and eye damage, but essentially I walked away. A little while later, the same neo-Nazis attacked a Greenpeace environmental camp. I don't think it was an official Greenpeace, but it was an environmental peace camp outside of Moscow. And they killed one person and put 15 others in hospital with critical injuries. I think I'm lucky. By comparison to human rights defenders in Iran, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and many other countries, I'm lucky. The risks I've taken are nothing by comparison to the risks they've endured. Many of them, like Raif Badawi in Saudi Arabia, are behind bars and have been lashed because they've spoken out for liberal humanitarian values. That hasn't happened to me. So I put all things into perspective. Yes, I have taken some risks, but on balance, I think those risks have been worth it. I would have never ever wanted to be arrested, beaten up, or to be deluged with hate mail. That would never ever be my choice. But sometimes, to challenge injustice, you have to put yourself on the front line. Now, I don't expect anybody else to do what I've done. But I think we can all do something. Even if it's only writing to a member of parliament, or joining a protest march, or supporting a campaign. You know, sign up to the Amnesty International Prisoner of Conscience campaign, where you write letters to support prisoners of conscience in jails around the world, where you write to governments to urge those people's release, or to urge the prevention or the end of torture. Those things are important too. And it is, after all, our collective, cumulative response that makes the change. You or I, individually, we can't change much. But together, we can change. And we saw that with the campaign against the poll tax. You know, millions of people protested, either by marching in the streets, or by refusing to pay the poll tax, or delaying their payment to make the system unworkable. We defeated the poll tax because we stood together. We stood together and refused to comply with a fundamentally unjust system of taxation which taxed a poor person the same as a rich person. Everybody saw that, or nearly everyone saw that, as being fundamentally unjust. And people responded, and Margaret Thatcher, who said she was not for turning, did a U-turn and abandoned the poll tax. That's a fantastic example of people power in British history that got a result, and it was only just over 2 decades ago. So, you know, we can and should stand together, stand up for the principles and values that we hold dear, so that we can move towards, perhaps not the perfect or ideal society, but toward a better society for ourselves and future generations. So taking risks is part of that process. You must decide how much risk you want to take. But if we all take a bit of risk, those cumulative collective risks will make the change. Thank you.